Hello everybody and welcome. It's Carol here at OJH Journals. I'm a little bit late posting this video. It is my tag for the OJH Journals Tag Swap that went live today. I actually made this tag a good couple of weeks ago and have had the video sat to one side but not had chance to edit it until today or to post it onto my YouTube channel. So the prompts or suggested prompts that were attached to this OJH Journals Tag Swap for June was pop, numerals, and to use the colour black. Now for pop, it could be a pop of colour, it could be something that pops or peeks out from, say, behind a flap or a fold. It could be something that pops up, for example a flap or a flip, or it might be something to do with music, for example a pop idol or something along those lines. I chose to create a pop-up feature, so as you can see here I'm fussy cutting out an image of the lobster from Alice in Wonderland, and I've backed it with some cardstock. So here I'm just going over the back with a little bit of vintage photo and around my image just to soften the edges and add a bit of colour. Here I'm just doing a score right down the centre of that fussy cut image, and I'm going to bring in my cutting mat and I'm going to do another score or fold at 90 degrees to the one that I've just created. There you go, you can see me doing it there. And then I go in and invert those folds. So opening up, and now I'm inverting those folds, or I'm changing the direction rather of those folds. So I've got a piece of cardstock here that I folded in half, and it is, when it's folded in half, the size of a manila tag. So I've just cut the corners there to create my tag shape. Here I've got another image out of my Alice in Wonderland book, and I'm going to use this to line the inside of my tag. And I'm just checking where I want my lobster to sit. And he's going to sit down the centre fold, so I'm just looking to see what's in the background to see whether it's too fussy. And here I'm just trimming down that piece of or image rather to the right size. There we go, there's my lobster. It's going to sit in the middle there, and I'm just looking to see whether I can get a better look with that strip of paper along the top, but obviously I can't. So now I'm just going in with some Pritt stick just on the inside of what will be my folded tag, and laying onto that my image that I've just trimmed slightly larger than my tag, or the inside of my tag. As you can see, I'm struggling a little bit there, but eventually get it done. And now I'm just going to trim away the excess from around the outside once I make sure it's nice and dry and burnished down. So there you go, just using my scissors to trim it all away. So here I'm just giving it a good burnish, and now I'm going to cover the back with what was the first page or the fly sheet from the Alice in Wonderland book I've got. It's a gorgeous colour, and I've used this throughout my Alice journal wherever I can use a little small portion of it to pick up the colour tones. So there you go, I'm just trimming around the outside, giving it a good burnish. And here I'm just roughly tearing a piece of paper, again from my Alice in Wonderland book, just a little bit of the book text, and I'm going to put that down the front of my tag to give me a little bit of interest there. And here it is glued in place, and I'm just trimming away the excess of that book text. I've got another scrap just left over from another image that was in the book, and I'm thinking that I can make use of that on the front of my tag as well. So I'm just cutting away the portion that I think will give me the best detail on my tag, and as you can see I'm auditioning it down that opposite side, glue it in place, and then again trimming away any excess. Here I've got an image of a fish from the book as well, and I'm playing with that and decide I want to make a pocket to go on the back of my tag and use that image. And you'll see in a minute or two I bring in some vellum because I actually back that image with some vellum to give it a bit more rigidity. More book text here, as I did on the front, just to add a little bit more interest. There we go, just wrapping it around my tag. And that portion that's inside, I'll cut that away in a minute. There we go, just chopping it away now. So this is the piece of vellum that I eventually used to back that image, because it was just a piece of paper or lightweight booked paper out of the book. So I wanted to make it firmer, but not too firm, by backing it with some lightweight cardstock. Here I've got an image of the griffin and the mock turtle doing the lobster quadrille, I think it's called. So I'm just roughly tearing around the outside. I'm going to use that as my focal element on the front of my tag. And here I'm just bringing in some vellum, deciding whether to back it with vellum. Just looking for some scraps in my folder there to see if I've got anything that could give me some texture. But I decided on this piece in the end and just roughly torn it. And I'm going to do some stitching on there in a minute. But here I'm just going around the edge of that image with a little bit of vintage photo. Also around the piece of vellum that's going to sit underneath. And I'm going around the outside edges of the pocket that's going to go on the back. So here you can see me playing with the piece of vellum that I'm going to back that image, fish image, with. So just gluing it in place. And now I'm just going to go in and tear away all the pieces of excess vellum. No measuring going on, just having a nice gentle play. Here I've got a line from the Alice in Wonder book. I've just ripped it out and inked around the edges. I'm gluing it to another piece just to make it stand out a little, and I'm going to sew around that in a moment or two. So you can see me just inking it there. And here I've stitched around my tag all the way around with a couple of lines of messy stitching in just a pale cream colour. I don't want anything rustic on this one, just want it to blend nicely. So here I'm just using my bone folder to smooth down my stitches, trimming away some loose bits and going all the way around with vintage photo. Both sides, as you can see. Really works well to frame your pieces if you do add some inking around the edges. I know it's not everybody's preference. You can see there I've just added a number as well on the front in that top left hand corner. It's just off screen at the moment, so apologies for that. A little bit more ink around that back pocket. And I've also stitched round that image of the mock turtle and the griffin. So now I'm just putting everything together. Got a piece of just fabric here from an old blouse, I think it was, and I've used that throughout my journal, so I'm just adding a portion of that to just give a little bit more detail to that quote that I want to have on there. Just using some art glitter glue, which is a great fabric glue. Just backing my quote. I'm just really assembling all my tag now, really. Decide I'm going to add a little bit at the top as a tag topper, and you will see by the end I changed that idea. It didn't work particularly well, but I've just got a fold of the fabric and I'm just trying to hold it in place using the art glitter glue. It was proving a little bit difficult because I'd folded it over and I got a good couple of layers there, so it kept on moving or lifting, so I did have a bit of a battle with it. But once it grabbed, I then went over with some lines on my sewing machine, just a couple of lines of stitching. So you can see I'm still fighting with it here. Tried clipping it in place and that didn't work. It was a disaster, but it did eventually stay in place. But I thought I'd leave this bit in and not edit it out so that you can see that things don't always go smoothly. People always say, oh, it looks easy when I'm creating my projects, but trust me, they don't. So that wasn't edited out. You can see warts and all there. So there's that number, top left hand corner, that you can see, and that was one of the prompts to use numerals, and it was also one of the prompts to use black. So I combined the prompt. So as I said, just combining my elements. And you can see at the top there, I've actually done that messy stitching on the sewing machine over that piece of fabric that was playing hard to get on here. So there we go. So I have stitched around that little quote and I'm just tidying it up, and I actually go in and add some more vintage photo around the edges of that piece of vellum, and as you can see I'm ruffling it up there to give a little slight distressing, rolling the corners, and there we go. Quite like the effect, and as you can see there I was just using my tweezers to help me roll it. And that's really helpful actually to use your tweezers. So this is the pocket going on the back. I stitch along the top of the pocket on my machine, but not down the sides. There was no reason for that other than I didn't fancy doing a couple of lines of stitching on the pocket. Just trimming away the corners here and just trimming down the flaps which will form the gusset of my pocket. So adding glue to the sides and along the bottom. And then I just go in and position it in place on the back of the tag, making sure the glue is grabbed, giving it a little bit of a burnish, and then going in again with my vintage photo distress ink. There we go. And now I'm just putting in my pop-up feature, which is my lobster, as you saw. So a little bit of glue along the bottom. And when the card or the tag is folded close, he sits nicely inside, and then he pops up when the tag is open, as you can see there. So it gives me a little bit of dimension. And to decorate inside, I just go over various pieces of the garden image there, or rather the flowers in the garden image, with some glossy accents. I do a little bit on his eyes, a little bit on his shoes, as you can see there, and on the water. I really got I say I only added a little bit of that, but I did actually get quite carried away doing it. And then finally, to finish off my tag, I added some remnant rubs all over the back to again add more interest. I added some more on the front as well. I decided I didn't like the way I'd finished off the top with that fabric that didn't glue down particularly well, so I went in with a We Are Memory Keepers large eyelet and some more of the fabric at the top. And then just to hold my tag closed, I've used a little book charm to represent Alice in Wonderland, a couple of little beads to pick up the colour tones, and that dangle or that charm at the side is all held together with a Tim Holtz mini paper clip. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoy seeing the photographs and the close-ups, and I hope to see you in my next video. So until then, take care, everybody. Bye bye now.